So another way of representing it that people may be familiar with, so that's showing all the different levels of maturity, but fundamentally it comes from a space, where we are now, our current state, beliefs, feelings, values, behaviours, norms, to define a new state, a B space, that this is where we want to be. So that might have some new values, some new beliefs, new behaviours, new norms. The space in between is what we call white space. And what's the important things for people to be considering when we actually start thinking about going through white space?
So I think there's a number of elements. So there's some familiarity with white space once people get into it. It's not completely alien, it's not completely new world, it's just recognising what things they're actually going to face, and maybe some element of understanding about the things that are more important to do in the early phases. So that the fact that nobody wants to approach a journey without having a clear view of what does the map look like, what's the journey plan, how do I know whether I'm on the right track or not. So we use the sort of GPS as an indication of the fact that organisations need a plan. They need to understand the track that they're intending to follow, right? Knowing that it's never going to be the perfect plan all the way through, and that the organisation has to have the ability to be able to adapt to this changing circumstances.
So like any GPS, when you're actually travelling, it will identify that there's a detour. You've actually got to change direction and you've got to move.
Traffic on the road, there's a crash, you need to change it, and you need to plot a different route. It gives you different alternative routes, and the plan needs to be flexible enough to find the route, the bypass around.
But you've got to know your current state, your future state, navigate it, plan it out, and get on the journey.
That's right, start the journey. When you're on the journey, you'll come across things that you may well have some familiarity with, and we're representing those as asteroids. So these are known hazards, things that you know that are going to be present. Maybe you're not quite sure where they are or when they're going to appear in the journey, but you've got some understanding about what the hazard is like and how it operates or reacts, and some degree of understanding about a strategy or strategies to be able to tackle, challenge, or resolve the hazard.
Because they normally show up in similar circumstances. They're in a similar routine.
They're on an orbit.
They generally show up in certain situations, certain types of tasks, certain types of roles.
Yes. So there's an element of predictability with those. You can predict when you might see them on your journey, and therefore get ahead of those and put some plans together to be able to tackle those when they appear.
Versus black holes.
Black holes are a completely different story. The analogy of the black hole is that has a tendency to draw everything in. It's something that sucks lots and lots of issues, lots and lots of resource, lots and lots of time and effort into a single process or a single point. And once you get caught in the sort of beam of a black hole, when you're caught in that gravity, it's really hard for an organisation to pull itself out, and it tends to draw in everything that surrounds it. But often with black holes you don't see them coming because you can't. They're not quite so obvious as asteroids, so they're a little bit more difficult to work out what they are and where they're going to be. But when you come across them, it can be an extremely challenging process to be able to get out of the black hole.
So fundamentally, it's the white space is the change process that we go through. There's got to be a plan to navigate that change. It's identifying the obstacles you're going to predictably come into contact with along the way, and have strategies for them. But also identifying some of those black holes and culturally that can be just the way we do things in the A space that we're trying to remove. And you can go into the white space, be drawn back into those.
We can use some of our sort of historical knowledge or some of our understanding to predict some of the black holes that could be present. So at least then you can be prepared from a strategy point of view. The challenge with black holes is you're never quite sure when they're going to appear.